Welcome back for part 3 of the Real Sports Repo. I am Dion Johnson. My partner Josh Sears is a little indisposed at the moment, but we're going to continue on with the show and continue on with these games. Next, we're going to talk about the Jags and the Steelers. The Jags are 1-5. The Steelers moved to 4-2 with their win over the Jags in a 17-13 win. Blaine Gabbert went 12 of 26 for 1 TD. Mojo went 22 for 96 yards. And Mr. Irrelevant, Jason Hill, scored the only touchdown thrown by Blaine Gabbert. 2 receptions, 29 yards in the TD. Big Ben Roethlisberger went 12 of 23 for 200 yards and 1 touchdown. Mr. Rashard Mendenhall, 23 carries, 146 yards in the TD. Mike Wallace, 2 receptions for 76 yards and a touchdown. Looks like the Jags are going to continue to have growing pains with Blaine Gabbert. Mojo is going to continue to do him and do what he does. He's always been a good running back. He's going to continue to do that. But Blaine Gabbert seems to continue to have growing pains. Hopefully this year, coming up in the draft, the Jags will actually draft some receivers that we can name, because most of the time we can't. The reason we know Jason Hill is because he was drafted by the 49ers a few years ago, and he made that big comment about the Jets DBs being a little overrated at that point in time. On the other side of the ball for Big Ben and Rashard and Mike Wallace is just another day at the office, continuing to make plays, continuing to win games, and continuing to move forward. Next game we're going to get into is the Eagles and the Redskins. The Eagles finally snapped this 3-game skid that they've been on and win a game. They are now 2-4. The Skins are 3-2. They beat the Skins 20-13. Michael Vick went 18-31 for 237 yards, 1 TD and 1 pick. Shady McCoy had 28 rushes for 126 yards and TD. Jeremy Maclin had 5 receptions for 101 yards. On the other side of the ball, Rex Grossman, 9 of 22 for 143 yards and 4 picks. Count them, 1, 2, 3, 4 picks. Rushing, John Beck had 2 rushes for 14 yards and 1 TD. Ryan Terrain only had 6 for 20. Receiver Davis had 6 receptions for 95 yards. John Beck was 8 of 15 for 117 yards. Now, here's the problem. Rex Grossman threw 4 picks and was benched in favor of John Beck. Rex Grossman came out openly and said that even if nobody believes in himself, he still believes that he can go out there and get the job done. Great confidence for a quarterback who just threw 4 picks. You got to put it behind you. You got to move forward. Although there is some uncertainty whether he will start next week for the Washington Redskins. Mike Shanahan has not came out and openly said that Rex Grossman is his guy. When he was over in Chicago, Lovie Smith said, Grossman's our guy. He's our quarterback. Mike Shanahan has not said the same thing, so we're a little unsure of the quarterback situation over there with him throwing 4 picks. On the other side of the ball, Mike Vick actually looked pretty good except for that 1 pick. Vince Young did come in for a little bit when Vick got injured for maybe a play or two, and he threw a pick himself. But the beauty of this is the safety for the Philadelphia Eagles actually showed up. Somebody on the Philadelphia Eagles side, the defensive side of the ball, showed up and got some picks. This kid had 3 picks, and he wound up doing it all by himself. But no picks by DRC or Nomni or even Asante. That's still a bad deal for the Eagles. Those guys have to start getting those picks and getting those guys taken care of. D'Angelo Hall got himself a pick when he came into a pick for the that pick that Vince Young threw, and this just in: Cedric Benson has gotten a 1-game suspension, most likely due to his legal troubles off the field. And once again, that's why I said that the Bengals need to go ahead and they need to draft a running back so that they can have somebody who will have stability. They haven't had stability of running back since Rudy Johnson. It's been a while since he's been there. But for the Eagles, this is a good thing. They got to win. They got that a little bit of that monkey off their back with that losing skid. Hopefully they can continue to win and continue to progress and possibly take that NFC East, which is pretty much up for grabs at this point, unless the Giants seem to falter at any point in the season. And the next game we're going to go into will be the Chicago Bears versus the Minnesota Vikings. The Bears are now 3-3, and the Vikings are now 1-5. The Bears beat up the Vikings 39-10. They actually held Adrian Peterson to 12 rushes for 39 yards. The only minus there was that he actually did score, but that's very hard to stop when he's close anywhere near that goal line. Donovan McNabb at 19-24 for 177 yards. Percy Harvin had 7 receptions for 78 yards, and Donovan McNabb was benched. This week, Leslie Frazier announced that Donovan McNabb was demoted to the second-string quarterback, and Christian Ponder is now their new starting quarterback. With the season going the way it was, this was almost a foregone conclusion that that was going to happen, and it shows us that Christian Ponder is their future. He does believe in them, and Leslie Frazier and these people in the Vikings organization believe that Christian Ponder will continue to be the quarterback of the future for them, and they're going to put the ball in his hands and let him have a few growing pains and continue to get things going in his way. Hopefully they'll draft themselves a few more receivers, give themselves a few more options, and maybe that defense could pick it up because things aren't looking good over there in Minnesota right now. On the other side of the ball for the Bears, Jay Cutler, 21 of 31 for 267 yards and 2 TDs. Matt Forte, 17 rushes, 87 yards. Marion Barber had 11 rushes for 32 yards and 1 TD. Devin Hester had 5 receptions for 91 yards and a TD, and he took another kick return back for a touchdown, 98 yards. This just proves that you don't kick to Devin Hester. There is no reason to kick to the man. If you can kick the ball out of bounds or you can get a touchback, even if you want to squib kick it, do anything but actually kick to him. That special teams over there is great. They open the holes, and even if the holes are almost microscopic, Devin Hester can squeeze through. The man runs on the tips of his toes, and he is blazing fast. Note to people in the NFL, if you are playing the Bears and you see Devin Hester ready to get a kickoff or a punt, do not allow him to get any room. He will take it back all the way, and he will get this record for the all-time kick return and punt return leader. This was a great game for the Bears. The blocking was actually good. Stephen Pia went from the defensive side of the ball to the offensive side of the ball. They have continued to just pound away at people with the run. They actually started protecting Jay Cutler. He only had a few hurries. I don't even think he had a sack. I think he had 1 sack, and he continued to just thrive in this new offense. Mike Martz, good job on making sure that these guys are blocking and not going out for passes and leaving Jay Cutler wide open. He just gets smacked around and pushed and beat up. And this was a great game for the Bears. They had a great time. Now we're going to move on to the Texans and the Ravens. The Texans fall to 3-3 with this loss. The Ravens move to 4-1. Ravens beat the Texans 29-14. Matt Schaub was 21 of 37, 220 yards and a TD. Arian Foster had 15 carries, 49 yards. Jacoby Jones, Jacoby Jones I was referring to earlier by mistake, 4 receptions for 76 yards and 1 TD. With Andre Johnson being out for how long they're not sure. Jacoby Jones has stepped up. He's done a really good job. They still got Joel Dreesen over there, and they've still got Owen Daniels as their tight end, so they should be able to continue to work. Arian Foster's still back there doing his thing. So this was an okay game for the Texans, but they've got to be able to step it up and play big and go hard every game, because other than that, they're not going to win, and it's going to be hard with them not having Mario Williams for the rest of the year. On the other side of the ball for the Ravens, Joe Flacco, 20 of 33, 305 yards, and an interception. Ray Rice had 23 rushes for 101 yards. Williams had a TD. Anquan Bolden, 8 receptions for 132 yards. So they just continue to keep doing what they're doing, passing the ball around, trying to continue to make plays, making plays with their defense and doing the best that they can, and and making sure that they can do exactly what they need to do to win. And this just into me. Breaking news right now. Eagles and Lions swapped running backs. The Philadelphia Eagles traded running back Ronnie Brown to the Detroit Lions for Jerome Harrison and an undisclosed draft pick in 2013. Harrison, starting his second stint with the Eagles, was first acquired in a trade in 2010 with Cleveland, rushed for 239 yards and a touchdown. I believe the reason that Ronnie Brown was on the move was for his idiotic move against the 49ers. What guy is going down and has no view of anybody, tries to throw over somebody that's at least 6 feet tall, and doesn't know where the ball is going to go, and then fumbles? Ronnie Brown has not been the guy that they thought he would be. He was actually way better over there in Miami, so they gave him hope to be a tandem with Shady McCoy, but it's just not working out, so that's probably why he's gone and he's on the move. Next game we're going to run into is the Cowboys and the Patriots. The Cowboys are now 2-3, and the Patriots are now 5-1 atop that AFC East. The Patriots beat the Cowboys 20-16. For this game, Tony Ono, once again, 27-41, 1 TD, 1 pick. Murray rushed for. He had 10 carries, 32 yards. Des Bryant, 4 receptions for 78 yards. Miles Austin, 7 for 74. And Jason Witten, 4 for 48 with the only TD of the game from Tony Romo. Tom Brady went 27 of 41 for 289 yards, 2 TDs, and 2 picks. Ben Jarvis Green Ellis had 14 carries for 58 yards. And Aaron Hernandez had 8 receptions for 68 yards in the TD. Wes Welker, 6 receptions for 45 yards in the TD. Brady continues to throw picks. I'm not sure if people are figuring him out and they know what he's going to do, but his picks are way too high for a quarterback of his caliber. He's got to get that under wraps. Pretty soon people are going to stop saying that these were just people being at the right place at the right time, and they're going to start saying that there's something wrong with Tom Brady's accuracy. I'm not doubting his accuracy, but I'm just saying it's a little odd when the guy has thrown almost 8 picks in 2 to 3 weeks. Things just aren't working for Tom Brady right now over there, but they still find a way to squeak out these wins. The Cowboys looked okay in this game, but once again, Romo's proven he doesn't get you over the hump. He threw that pick at the worst time he could throw that pick, like he always does. No Felix Jones in this game. A little questionable if he'll be okay. And they just played an okay game. And okay is not going to get you to the Super Bowl. Greatness will get you to the Super Bowl. If the Dallas wants to come back and be a contender in this NFC East, they've got to start winning games. They've got to stop making bad moves and bad decisions at the wrong time. And Tony Romo, you got to learn where to put the ball and put it in the right place at the right time, because you seem to throw these picks at the wrong moment every game. And the next game that we're going to talk about is the last game that we have on tap, and that will be the Jets and the Dolphins. Mark Sanchez went 14 of 25 for 201 yards in the TD. Sean Green had 21 carries for 74 yards. Mark Sanchez did have 1 rushing touchdown. Santonio Holmes had 3 receptions, 63 yards in the TD. On the other side of the ball, Matt Moore came in and stunk up the joint for the Miami Dolphins. 16 of 34, 204 yards, and 2 picks. Reggie Bush had 10 rushes for 71 yards. Brandon Marshall had 6 receptions for 109 yards. The Dolphins season continues to just get worse and worse. They're 0-5. They're not going to win anything. This season is over. Tony Sparano's on the hot seat. Chad Henne doesn't look like he's the guy of the future. They're probably going to draft somebody. They'll be in that Andrew Luck sweepstakes along with the Colts. Things just aren't looking good for the Dolphins. And if I was Reggie Bush after this year, I'd get out of there and make a run for it, because unless he's doing kick returns and punt returns, I don't see him making anything better. Join us on this last small part of the Real Sports Repo, where we'll get into a few more things and talk about a little bit more besides just regular football. We're even going to get, my buddy's going to get into the World Series after he comes back from being a little indisposed. We thank you for watching, and you guys have a good evening.